Hi, and welcome back to Growth with Ciara. I am so excited that you're here with me today. And this episode is for every mom who's ever questioned if she's doing enough. If you've ever had to laugh in order to make it through the chaos, or if you've had trouble hearing that great truth that yes, you are a good mom. My guest today is Tara. She is the founder of Modern Mom Probs. She is a author, content creator, and a mom who's turned the beautiful mess of motherhood into a space where honesty and humor live side by side. I am beyond elated to have this conversation with you. Tara, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. What an introduction. Oh my goodness.
I was doing my homework.
Yeah, I am impressed. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so honored that you took the time to say yes and be a guest on this growing podcast. I am just so happy that you're here. And I am a mom, as many of you know, to a teen and to a 7-year-old going on 35-year-old. And motherhood is an area of my life that I cherish deeply. So having this conversation for moms like me or moms to be is very meaningful for me. So I gave you a great introduction, which I think still doesn't summarize all that you are. But for those who have never met you before, give us a brief overview of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Tara Clark. I'm the founder of Modern Mom Probs, and I guess I'd like to sort of start the story. I guess at the beginning is the best way to describe that, right? So before my son was born, I worked at Nickelodeon, and I loved working at Nickelodeon. It was the most talented, creative people. It was just like such a great vibe, and this was in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and there was a time where I was Dora the Explorer on Facebook.
I love that fun fact. That is
And my mom used to run around and tell people, like, my daughter's Dora the Explorer. I was like, Mommy, on Facebook, stop it. So there was a time I was Dora the Explorer on Facebook. And then I got pregnant and had my son. And, that's a whole long story because, we had, a lot of, infertility issues and all that kind of stuff. But that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation.
Different conversation altogether. And so when I was on maternity leave with him, I was faced with do you go back to work full time or do you stay home? And honestly, it was a really hard decision for me. And at the same time, I wasn't making so much money that childcare is so expensive.
Expensive.
It came down to a budgetary thing too.
Yes,
where
of
it was
course.
do I want all of my paycheck to go to daycare so that I could work? Or do I want to spend time with this one baby who we tried so hard to have?
Oh, that.
And so I remember being on the call with my boss, who at the time, she had 2 small children herself. And she was on the call, and I was like, I would love to go back maybe part-time or something. And she was like, no, it's a full-time head or it's nothing. And I was like, all right, then it's going to be nothing. So it was a really hard decision for me to decide to leave Nickelodeon because I had been there for 5 years, and I loved it, and I loved my son, and I wanted to be with him. And so I decided to stay home with him full time.
And this is before the era of working from home, guys.
Yeah, no, this is just to give you an idea. This was that conversation with my boss. Her name was Julie. That happened January of 2013.
Yeah.
So it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Way before hybrid or anything like that. That's why they were like, work from home. What are you talking about? It was not even on the table. It wasn't even an option.
Right.
So they were like full time in the office or nothing, and I was like nothing. So I decided to stay home with him when he was born. And then when he was 3, I was looking for an outlet. I was we were living in New York City at the time, and I was lonely, and I was looking to connect with other moms, and I was looking for a creative outlet too. So there was this shiny new website called Canva that was just popping off, and Instagram was just taking off. And this was February of 2016. I said to my friends and family, I'm going to make a parenting Instagram account, and I'm going to make a business out of it. I'm going to monetize it.
Content creator.
Yeah. And they were
Before there was such a
you're
thing.
going to do what? And I was like, no, I'm going to do a thing. They're like, that's not even a thing. I was like, bet. And there were bloggers. So don't get me wrong. Like there were women and moms that
Of
were
course.
blogging and stuff like that. But I was not a blogger. It's not like I had a blog and then I transferred it to Instagram. It was like
Yes.
just Instagram and making something out of that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So I started making jokes and like writing one-liners because this was before video was even on Instagram. It was just photography.
Yes, it
we were
was
talking about
just
photography before. It was
yes.
just photography and words and funny one-liners and all of that kind of stuff. And so so that's what I did. So I started the account. It was February of 2016. So now we're approaching 10 years. Woo woo.
Yes.
And the account was called NYC Mom Probs because we were
Yes.
living in New York City at the time.
Yes.
And then we moved out of New York City to New Jersey.
Which is such a shock.
Which is a shock. And I had this thing where I was like, yo, like I don't have New York City problems anymore. Like I'm not taking the subway. I'm not taking the bus with my son anymore. And so then I had to change the name. And I'll never forget, I was DMing with my friend who has an account called Mommy Wine Time. She lives out in Kansas City.
I love that name.
Yeah, it's great. She's great. She posts a lot of memes and stuff. She's super funny. So she and I were DMing, and I was like, we got to change the name. And we're throwing out different adjectives. And she's like, how about this? And how about this? And how about this? And I was like, how about Modern Mom Probs? And she was like, that's it. And so the next day, like I flicked the switch and I changed the name to Modern Mom Probs. And the account just took off after that, which is amazing because everyone has Modern Mom Probs, right?
Yes.
Only so many people live in New York City, but everyone has Modern Mom Probs. And so then that was it. And so the account took off from there. I was featured in the Record, the Bergen Record. And after that, an editor reached out to me who was like, hey, you should write a book. And then he hooked me up with a literary agent, and she shopped my book around, and I got my book deal literally like March of 2020 or maybe April of 2020. And that's a mess. Like, you know, the lockdown just happened. The book, it was so weird because she was shopping it around beforehand. And at first there were like several interested publishers. And then the lockdown happened, and then all the publishers were like, oh, hell no, because Barnes & Noble isn't even open. We don't know what's happening in the world. It was like the worst possible timing for something like that. So then there was this small publisher based out of Tennessee that were like, yeah, we'd love to do this book. And I was like, awesome. So I had 6 weeks to write it, which is bananas. I wrote my book over the summer of 2020. I looked up from my laptop, right, when I finished my book, and the entire social media landscape had changed.
Yes.
Because it was the explosion of TikTok. And I
course.
like missed that whole thing. And people were like popping off and getting like millions of followers and stuff like that. And I was like, what happened here?
Yeah.
And so then I had to play catch up because I didn't start as a video first content creator. I started as a words first and that kind of thing, right? So that was interesting. So even still now, I still feel like I'm kind of like coming back from that, and it's been like 6 years. So it's like, get it together, Tara. But but that's what it is. And I also say too, with like the Modern Mom Probs as like a title, is that when I started the account, it was just making jokes and joking about like first world problems and that kind of stuff. But the conversation changed and the account evolved over time.
Of course, like
We're all like I did as a person, right?
Yeah,
And so I will talk about things that are funny first world problems, but then also like true modern mom problems.
Correct.
Maternal mental health, that's a big one that I speak about. The mental load of motherhood, so many different things like that.
Yeah.
And so, it really runs the gamut. So I like to tell people that anything that falls underneath the umbrella of a modern mom problem is something I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, and I love, one, I think it's so incredible that your brand has evolved with the times, right? Which is really important. But more so that you were one of the first to create a safe space for moms to laugh at themselves, to laugh at the everyday chaos of just trying to get it right. And I think the beauty of this era is that it has shifted and taken us away from this sense of perfectionism, and that moms are supposed to look like, those ads in the 60s where they're like with their perfect roller set and their perfectly ironed clothes and the table is set and, all of that. I think that level of pressure that that was posed on moms for so many generations was debilitating.
Yes.
Because you couldn't just be a messy mom. You couldn't just be a mom that like didn't know what she was doing. That was just figuring it out as she went. And the idea of even talking to someone about like, my kids are super annoying today and I'm hiding in the bathroom because I don't want to even breathe near them.
Yes.
People feel guilty saying those things when it's seen as like, well, you're a bad mom if you say those things, you know? So I commend you for creating a space where people felt seen, mothers felt seen, and also, you know, the mental health that motherhood takes on all moms, whether you have all the support in the world or not, whether you have all the resources in your disposal or not. There's a great shift that happens when you become responsible for another human being.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have an age, that doesn't have a salary cap. That is every single woman that experiences that, no matter how you become a mom, right? There's something that changes in you and within you that you're not ready for. There's no book, there's no
manual.
there's no manual,
Yes.
there's nothing that prepares you for living a life that is no longer about you, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you add humor to everything, which is near and dear to my heart because I love to laugh and I laugh at myself and I love laughing at other people too.
No, I think it's important, you know,
Yeah.
and everyone sort of like consumes media differently.
Yes.
And some people really love like a certain type of content and other people like others. For me, I really love humor. Like that's who I follow. And so I think to myself, like, if I'm following the humor people, that's what I want to create and put out in the world. Other people want to put out, you know, like lifestyle content or rant content. And it's like, I'm not a ranter for that kind of thing. I'm a humor person. And so that's how I like to sort of make my mark in the world or in the parenting world of just trying to help people by putting a smile on their face and having them feel seen with that too and go, that's funny. And I see myself in that.
Yes, and in a world that is right now just very complicated, I think we all need spaces that are lighthearted and can kind of just help us feel a little more at ease in every area of our lives, and especially in parenthood and motherhood.
Yes.
So I think that comedy is a great way to get people to put their guard down and just like breathe for a second.
Yeah.
We all need that. I love comedy too. I love watching comedy. I love, you know, little clips here and there. And personally, I much rather see something funny than something heavy.
I agree. It's like
Yeah.
we know what's going on in the world right now. Like I feel like you don't have to remind me. I know, I see the news. I have my phone. Like we can't escape it. So I don't want to like echo that.
Yes.
I would rather be uplifting in my messaging or in what I'm putting out there because like we know what's going on. Like
We know.
it's not
we
great.
know it's not all, you know, rainbows and butterflies. But I agree. I also feel very called to do that with the type of content that I make and making sure that people feel seen and are able to relate and come as you are, right?
Yeah.
Like
No, I think you're
here,
great at that.
No one here has it figured out. We're just learning as we go, and this is a space that welcomes everybody. You know, no matter what you believe in or not. So
I love that.
I love partnering in conversations with people like that too.
Oh, thank you.
So tell me, what is one mom rule that you thought you would enforce?
Oh, good Lord, where do I start?
And as soon as you became a mom, you're like, yeah, right.
Oh my gosh, where do I even begin? So like when my son was born, I struggled with a little bit of like postpartum anxiety, a little bit of postpartum OCD because I was like, oh, he has to eat you know, organic vegetables that I buy at the supermarket that I'm going to steam myself. Like I was like, girl, what are you doing? You're crazy.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of, I have to feed him this, he has to eat that and whatever. And now he's like, I'm happy if he eats anything. I'm like, eat those Cheetos, go ahead, eat those Cheetos. You're gonna eat that? Okay, good, eat that. Like, I just want him to get calories. I want him, like, he's like a skinny little thing.
Oh.
So I'm like, just eat the stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a big one for me, is that I thought we were gonna be this way. And when you become a new parent, I think there are so many rules that you have in your mind, whether that was like from your own upbringing or stuff that you saw online that you think that you should be doing. The should be's are a big thing. It's like, I should be doing all organic. I should be putting him to bed at this time. I should be sleep training him, like all the different things, right? And then you realize you're like, this is dumb. This isn't working for my family.
Correct.
That's what it is. It's
That's
not
what
that
it
it's dumb.
is.
It's not that it's dumb. I'm not going to
Yes.
say that. Take that away.
Yes.
But like, it's not working for my family. So like sometimes if you have to
Yeah.
like co-sleep so that y'all could sleep, co-sleep.
Do what you got to do.
Then that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And so sometimes if your kid just needs to get calories, let him eat the donuts. He needs, calories. And so
Eat the Cheetos.
eat the Cheetos. Eat the Cheetos. That's one takeaway you guys got today.
Eat the Cheetos. Eat the Cheetos.
So there was a lot of things that that I had to like change for myself. And this
Yeah.
didn't happen overnight. My son
course.
is 13 now, so it's stuff that I've learned in my journeyhood, my journey as a mother and as a parent, and as somebody that's working in the parenting space. It's like I talk to the experts who write the books and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so there's a lot that I've learned, and I always think that like when I do a podcast with like an expert or a therapist or something like that, that's like my therapy. I feel like I'm getting like free
Yes.
therapy. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Dr. Becky, tell me how to do whatever. Like it's free therapy, and so I feel very like give me all the information.
Yeah.
But one of the best pieces of information, parenting information I ever heard, was from a therapist, and she said, "Step out so they can step in,"
Oof, that's so good.
and
That's so
that one stuck with me.
Oh, that's
Step
so good.
out so that they could step in. And what that means is let go of the control, let them do it themselves. They're going to step into who they are as a person.
Yeah.
Because if you're always on top of them doing this thing and that thing and whatever, they just follow your lead, right?
They
They're
don't
just going to follow
evolve.
what you're going to do. They don't evolve. So you have to take yourself out of it so that they can go, oh, I gotta wear deodorant today. Oh, I gotta brush my teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to, and that's silly stuff. But I'm saying like then you start making bigger decisions. Oh, I gotta hang out with the right friends. Oh, I gotta stay out of trouble. Like that kind of stuff, you know? So you
Yeah.
gotta step out so they can step in.
That made me. Am I gonna be crying every episode now? Jesus.
That's my favorite piece of parenting advice.
That made me very emotional. My son's on the college journey, which I've mentioned in a couple episodes now, and it's getting very real. And he's always been so self-aware, which I've admired
love that.
tremendously. And he's
Yeah.
always kind of walked to the beat of his own drum. And I've never had to worry about him steering in the wrong direction.
That's great.
Because you cannot steer him in any direction.
You know what? That's how my son is too. He's not a people pleaser, which I love that for
I
him.
love
like,
that too.
good for you, bro. Like,
I love
like
that.
give me some of that.
He is not a people pleaser. He is definitely his own person. So I've never had to worry about him following the crowd or following the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
But now that he will go away to college, I've made it my mission the last 4 years to teach him to be independent and to know what to do and not be calling me like, Mom, is it bleach or is it Tide? Like, what am I loading? Please don't be that kid.
Yeah.
So now that I see he's so well prepared in that aspect, and like he's ready to fly, and
for
he
him.
really is. And I am in my feels because
How could you not be?
I realize so much. He's, getting all his scholarship offers and all of that. And I'm just so proud. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of me.
Yeah.
It's been he's grown up with me. I had him at 22.
Yeah.
So he's had to witness my evolution.
Yes.
And that has also been, not easy at times. So
Right.
I'm very grateful that he is still so himself throughout the process, right?
Yeah.
And that's all we can hope for our kids.
That's
that
it.
We allow them to step in, as you
That's it.
mentioned, and he's never wanted to be anything like me. So I had no choice but to let him step in. Okay.
Yeah.
He knew to step in from the beginning.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that also taught me a lot, because as moms, sometimes we think we're going to fix our childhood stuff with our kids. And we're going to be that kind of mom.
Yep.
And we're going to have all the rules. Oh, I knew. When I had my son, girl, I didn't need a manual. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew how he was going to get dressed. I knew what he was
Yep.
going to eat.
Oh my God, yes.
the-
With the dressing, I had all like really cute clothes for him, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm only gonna wear sweatpants."
The best diapers, the best diapers, Bloomingdale's, Ralph Lauren, all the way, until, honey,
Nope.
he turned 1 year old, and no.
That's exactly what happened with us.
You come to the realization of like, that stuff doesn't even matter. No. Like, it's
No,
you
it
just need them to be
doesn't.
healthy, and you just need to feel like I also struggled with postpartum, you know, and I didn't identify it as postpartum until many years later, because also at that time nobody was talking
They weren't talking
about
about it. That's the thing. So we have to give ourselves grace for that, because it wasn't that you had it on the phone on Instagram or whatever that people were talking about.
And you couldn't go to there wasn't this sense of virtual community, right? Where you can lean on someone who was a complete stranger that had no idea who you were, and you can kind of gather from their experience or their wisdom. That didn't really exist at that time.
No, it didn't.
So, and especially as a young mom, right? That it was even more taboo for me to like say, well, I'm really struggling emotionally, and I just don't even know, you know. It was a really dark time, and I look at that version of myself and I just want to hug her, because she really didn't know that this was normal, meaning the feelings that I was feeling was part of the process. Yeah. But not being able to voice that and say that, you know what actually brought that to fruition, and I put a name on it. I had an accident with my son in the car. And it was a minor accident, thank God. But the accident required for me to do an evaluation, because there was legal proceedings afterwards. And man, thank God for that psychiatrist, because as I was writing things and he was making me draw things, he said, "You are going through something right now. Yeah. You need to talk to someone." And at that time, I didn't have the tools that I have now. My whole personal growth journey started when my son was born. Yeah. I don't want to mislead anybody and think that like, oh, I had it all. No, I was a hot mess. Yeah. But I knew something in me, innately in me, knew that there was a better way. Yeah. What that looked like, you know, it transformed over time. Sure. But had it not been for that psychiatrist telling me, hey, listen, you're going through something major here. You need to talk to somebody. I can't even tell you what direction my life would have taken. Yeah. And that was step one, right? But in the age that we're in now, where we have so many ways to access information anonymously too.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is big. A lot of people don't want to admit that they have that they're going through this struggle, that they feel these feelings and don't know if they're right or wrong. And having platforms or virtual therapy or all of these avenues that allow for you to get the help that you need is important for moms, but for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. We are so lucky that we're living in a time where we can have something like a BetterHelp or access to different things. Or even it starts with the awareness to be able to put words to it, right? So if you said to your, let's say, your mother, like, Mom, like, I'm not feeling right. Like, I'm not sure. I'm having these thoughts. And she might have been like, oh, no, that happens to everybody. Don't worry about that. Just move on. And you're like, is that normal? Like, is that cool? Like, and so I'm glad that we're in a generation now where we can say, hold up, that's not cool. And so that we need to speak with a professional about it. I'm very grateful that we're in a place now that people could start to do that. Like, for instance, I'll give you a great example. Speaking of moms, last April, I hosted a wellness event out in like rural New Jersey, right? I say rural, it was like, I don't know, Ringwood or whatever. And it's rural.
Down the turnpike.
No. It's like up. It was like up in the mountains, like up in the mountains. Okay. And so I brought my mom, and I had this woman, she's a friend of mine, her name is Dr. Rachel Goldman, and we were talking about body image and mental health and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so it was like a fireside chat. Like I was interviewing Rachel about this. And my mom was in the audience, and obviously the word mental health kept coming up. Yeah. After that day, my mom said, Tara, I finally understand what you do, and I finally understand what people are talking about with mental health. Wow. And I was
what
like,
a gift.
Yes. And she's 70 years old. She lived this whole life. Yeah. And not really connecting the dots about mental health or about body image, about all of those things. And I'm so grateful now that she understands. Also, I should mention that you're going to laugh at this, but it's true. My mom is not on the internet. She does not have access to the internet. She has a flip phone. She watches the news. She reads the paper.
Oh,
she is
that.
like straight up 1995.
She's just there.
She's just there.
I love that.
And like, it's really cute and it's very like innocent because she's like, I don't want to do something that I don't understand. And I'm like, I get that, mommy. Like, don't worry. So I handle like if she gets emails or whatever, like it comes through me. But finally she understood about mental health.
Yeah.
And she understood about body image, and she understood about having these conversations out loud that you've only ever thought in your head, and you go, oh, am I the only one that has struggled with this?
Yeah.
And I was so grateful that she finally understood.
Yeah, and what a gift, and also a testament that, we can grow and evolve at any age.
Yeah.
And that motherhood is a lifelong journey. Your mom, obviously, witnessing your evolution into motherhood as well, and seeing you speak and all of that. I'm sure part of her still looks at you as her little girl.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and that also is just so beautiful that you were able to give her that gift. And that was also a gift to you, because being seen by our parents especially is just one of the most beautiful things that we could ever experience. And
it really is. And generationally, like, we see our children for who they are, but I don't necessarily know if our parents see us for who we really are.
Yeah.
And that day, I think that's why it was so powerful. That day my mom said, and I've been doing this, like I said, for, at that point, it was 9 years. And she was like, I finally get it now. I see it with my own eyes. And also to promote that reset retreat, I was on News Channel 12 with Dela Cruz. Shout out to Dela Cruz. And my mom watched it on TV, obviously, because she loves News Channel 12. And then also she was like, oh, I get it. This is what you do. You speak to people, you have a retreat, whatever. And so it was just funny that it took that long for her to understand the work that we're trying to do here.
Yeah, and I think especially for the older generations, this is just how they were raised, you know? Like, in one of our episodes, we said, kids were raised to be seen and not heard, and an adult was the ultimate law. And, you're just a kid, you know, and I'm grateful that we were born in a time like this where we understand that kids are also a human being. They're a whole person, and they require respect and admiration and affirmation. Our kids need us to affirm them. And see them and understand them for who they are, not who we want them to be.
Yes.
That is one of the greatest lessons of motherhood for me, that I learned with my son, because he is so opposite. He's an introvert. He's very selective with his people, and I am social by nature. And I love having a full circle life, and he is content with just some food and internet connection.
See, your son and my son are the same. That's exactly, you like described my son to a T.
Yeah. So I love being able to learn as I go too, because again, this is a never ending journey, but being able to experience things like that with my mom too has been, especially now when I'm older, it means so much more.
Yeah.
It really does.
It does. It does. It's beautiful. Like, she and I, we've had to like work on our relationship and sort of, but now we're like in a really great place with that kind of stuff. And I think part of that is her seeing me and the work that I do and what my day-to-day looks like. And she understands now if I say like, oh, I have a work call, I'm jumping on a Zoom call or something like that. Now she'll like respect my time and be like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like, it's a real job.
Like, it's a real job.
It's a real job.
But like,
It's
I
not
have
a
real phone
pretend job.
calls with people. Yeah. For her, she'd never understood like people working from home. She's like, that's not real work. She's like, you go somewhere where you have a shift, you do your shift, and then you come home. Like, that is her
And also,
working.
if she's not part of the internet world, right, then there's no way for her to really experience you in that capacity.
Exactly.
So that also makes perfect sense, right? It's just not a part of her thought process. So her to be able to experience it live with you is really what shifted her, and that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's very special. So I'm sorry we went off on a tangent about that. I don't even know how I started talking about that one.
Well, because the way we parent has a lot to do with the way we were parented.
Yes, absolutely.
And a lot of us, like I had mentioned, sometimes we think that we're gonna fix our inner child through our kids, and No,
No.
that is not. We cannot put that level of responsibility on our children. They are not here to
cannot.
do what we wish we could have done,
No.
or become the version of ourselves that never came to light. That is not.
That is not on them.
That is not on them.
Absolutely not.
Our job as moms is to provide for them, nurture them, care for them, affirm them, make them good human beings.
Yes.
But we can't dictate who they become.
No.
We cannot, design their life perfectly.
No.
And that's also really tough because we automatically think we can shelter them and protect them from everything. And we can't.
No.
We can't. I think one of the most marking experiences for a mom is the first time your kid falls
Yeah.
and cries, that cry of like pain.
Yeah.
You'll never forget that moment.
No.
But then it's also an opportunity for us to understand, like, that's life.
Yeah.
And they're going to fall. They just have to be able to see us to lift them up.
Yes. Beautifully said.
Ah.
And that goes back to the other thing about step out so that they could step in, right?
Yeah.
You got to let them do their own thing. My son fell. I felt so bad yesterday morning. I dropped him off at school, and he was getting out of the car, and he has to dress up for like a colonial, I don't know, Ben Franklin or something.
Of
so
course,
he was
these
holding
schools-
they got something. And so he was like holding his like costume and his backpack, and he slipped on ice, and I like watched it, and I was like, oh no. Then I was like, he's okay. He's okay.
gonna
He
get up.
picked himself up and he walked up the stairs and he went to school. But it was one of those things where it's like, it's hard to watch. I mean, it's hard to watch anybody fall.
Of course.
But it's even harder to watch your baby fall.
Yeah, and in life and in life in general, right?
Yes.
Like hypothetically speaking, or physically, like that's a skill that you have to learn as a mom. That we're not going to be there to catch them at every fall, and we also have to prepare them to be able to stand up when they fall. Yes. And that is a lesson that we will continue to teach them, no matter what age they are. Yeah. And I think that for me, especially now in this part of my motherhood journey, I'm going to have to step back a lot, and I'm going to have to allow him to make his mistakes, and I am going to have to change the way I mother after it, being.
Yeah, no, it's tricky.
It's I'm finally coming to a space where I'm realizing that, like, he's going to turn 18. We were talking
It
about.
made me cry just thinking about that because my son is 13 and this morning I was talking to my friend and her son just turned 13 like this week and she's like, Tara, next thing you know, they're going to be in college. I was like, hold up. I was like, you do not say that to me right now. She's like, because think about it. She's like, high school's only 4 years. I was like, stop it.
It went by so fast.
I'm not
and
ready
I
for
literally,
that.
I feel like kindergarten graduation was yesterday.
I know.
So we were talking about, he's getting all his acceptance letters and stuff.
That's amazing.
And I'm really excited because he's getting accepted by some very prestigious schools.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I told him this morning because he heard from a school today, and I was so excited for him because I remember that being one of my choices when I wanted to apply for colleges here, which is another episode. But he was not as excited because he had applied to that school for me.
For you.
And I said to him, he goes, but you know who my top choice is? And I said, I know. I'm just excited that you have choices. Yes. And I want you to know that you don't have to choose for me. You're going to be an adult. This is your first big financial investment. Yeah. And you need to make sure that you do what you want to do. Yeah, I am going to support your decision. I don't want you to choose anything but what you want for yourself because you're the one that's going to have to live with your career choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was like, okay. So that whole deep moment, and he was like, cool. See you later.
You were doing such a good job. I gotta say, like you were doing
you.
a phenomenal job with him.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just who I am as a person. I try to give and do my best, and I think one of the best ways that I've showed up as a mom is through apologizing to my kids.
That's another thing. That's like a new, I say new in quotes, like that is a new thing that people are talking about on social media is apologizing to your kids because our generation is sort of the first generation that's starting to do that to their children.
Yeah, and I think
think
it's
of any other like parents that like apologize.
Girl, please apologize. Go to sleep.
Exactly. Shut your light off. Go to bed.
Yeah, like no. So I've really tried to pride myself. And, because I was such a young mom, I made a lot of mistakes. And I wish I could have handled certain things better. But I've always made it a point to tell my kids I'm sorry, especially if I do a lot. I juggle a lot of hats, and sometimes I'm just grumpy and I'm tired and
it's a
I'm
lot.
drained, and I just don't want to even breathe near anybody.
Yes.
And because they're with me, they have to experience that version of me sometimes. And I find myself just telling them, listen, I'm not perfect. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best here.
That's all you could ever say.
Yeah.
Is that you're learning, they're learning. This is the first time you're a human being. It's the first time they're a human being, right? We're all just trying to do the best we can with what we have.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
So, Tara.
Yes.
What does growth mean to you in this season of your life?
It's a beautiful question. It's a beautiful question. I think there's a lot of different things that are sort of like swirling around in my head. One, I tend to think of an evolution, right? Of like how I mentioned earlier about my account had evolved from just humor to humor and serious topics and a little bit of everything. So evolution as a person, evolution as a parent, as a mother. We make a lot of mistakes when we first have kids, and then we learn and we know better and we do better. And so that's a big part of it. So I definitely would say the growth that goes into that. And then also on a personal level, growth in as much as to like stop people pleasing.
Oh, that's so good.
Right? To like stop putting yourself last, because as moms, we really have a tendency to put ourselves last. And I know so many moms that are really working hard on themselves to not do that as much anymore. And I think that's fantastic. So I that would be my hope for everybody, to continue to stop putting yourself last. Like, you're important too, whether it's your health or whether it's your physical health, mental health, all of those things.
Your
Even
sleep.
taking up space. Like many times, like we shrink, like we're not very big people, right? So like many times we sort of like shrink away, get out of the way of stuff like that. Like, no, like you are allowed to take up space. Take up space. So that I think is part of growth as well. And I think that we are always evolving. And even going back to the conversation about my mother, it's like my relationship with her has evolved, and she's evolving as a person at 70 years old, and I'm proud of her for that. She used to like really struggle with anxiety, and she still does to a certain extent. And it's much more under control now. And I know she's the one controlling that, and I'm proud of her for that. And that's growth, So it's a lot of different things. It's not just, it's one thing. I feel like we are on this journey of our lives and our lived experience, and all of that is growth. And sometimes we slip up, right? Sometimes we'll mess up, and we won't apologize to our kids, and
because there's no perfect mom.
There's no perfect person, right? And so we're all just on this journey together, trying to learn and grow as we go.
That's right. And I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful for you, for all you do for moms, for all you're doing for your son, because I know that you worked really hard to get him here.
I did.
And I know that everything you've done after that has been a homage to the motherhood journey, and how motherhood looks different for everyone.
It does. And sometimes it could even look different than what you thought it was going to look like.
Of course.
And that's okay too.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. There's no perfect mom. No. There's no manual to this. There are no rules. No. But in case you were wondering, yes, you are a great mom. Thank you for being here.